A simple woman forced to play piano as a joke, but her talent leaves everyone stunned. The room crackled with laughter, the kind that stings more than it amuses. Margaret Carter, a quiet, middle-aged cleaning lady, stood near the back of the Grand Hotel ballroom, clutching a tray of empty glasses. She had spent most of her life blending into the background, sweeping floors and wiping tables while the world carried on around her. No one ever really saw her. Tonight, the city's wealthiest had gathered for a gala, raising funds for charity while sipping champagne and making polite conversation. Among them was Thomas Reed, a well-known businessman with a cruel sense of humor. He leaned back in his chair, smirking as his eyes landed on Margaret. "Margaret," he called, loud enough to draw attention. "Why don't you entertain us? Play us something on the piano." The laughter rippled through the crowd. They knew she was just a cleaning lady, not a musician. It was a joke, a way to amuse themselves at her expense. Margaret hesitated, her cheeks burning. She hadn't touched a piano in years. But deep within her, music had never left. It had once been her world, back when life was kind. Before she had to set aside dreams for survival. A hush fell over the room as she stepped forward, her hands trembling slightly as she settled onto the piano bench. She inhaled deeply and placed her fingers on the keys. Then, she began to play. At first, a few chuckles remained, but they quickly faded. The melody that poured from the grand piano was unlike anything they expected, haunting, beautiful, filled with longing and untold stories. The notes soared, telling of love, loss, and hope. People froze in place. Conversations stopped. Glasses hovered midair. Margaret lost herself in the music, the years melting away. She was no longer just a cleaning lady, she was the girl who once dreamed of playing concert halls, the woman who had given up everything to take care of a sick mother, the person who had sacrificed so others could thrive. As the final note lingered in the air, silence followed. Then, a single clap. Then another. And then, an eruption of applause. A woman in the front row wiped away tears. A young musician, inspired, clutched his violin tighter. Even Thomas Reed sat stunned, his smirk gone. A man in a tailored suit approached. "That was extraordinary. Where did you train?" Margaret smiled softly. "I didn't. Life had other plans." The man turned to the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, we gathered here tonight for charity, for second chances. What better example than this?" Moved by her story, the audience raised thousands that night for struggling artists and overlooked talents. And for the first time in years, Margaret didn't feel invisible. She felt seen. She felt heard. And as she walked away, she knew, her story was just beginning.